Hey everyone, this is your OG, and this is another Godforge video. Today we will be sharing some very spicy leaks. This has been embargoed for a week and it's been hard for us not to share it. Specifically, we are going to be showing the full kit for Quetzalcoatl, or Quick Q, the Speedy Bad A buffer. You are not going to want to miss these details as we go fully into her abilities, awakenings, and stats. Without further ado, let's optimize. All right. So, this is one of our first full hero breakdowns, and we're doing it on Quetzalcoatl from the Amaican faction. This legendary Star of Dawn is looking fast and friendly to your team builds. Looking at her stats, here is your base info. She's legendary rarity, Amaican faction, wisdom or blue affinity, invoker archetype, meaning she's healing and buffing your team, and she is order alliance. We see she has decent HP, good defense, over 100 speed, and 94 initiative. All solid stats that we would expect from a legendary. As an invoker archetype, we would want to boost her speed, initiative, resistance, as we'll see one of her multipliers scales off resistance, as well as HP and defense. As we move forward in this video, we're going to see how she ranks up. Of course, what an invoker is, healing and buffing the team. And we're going to see how much she ranks up when she's brought all the way up to rank 6 or all the way up to level 60. You see she is Order Alliance as well. Alright, so you can see here that she is being ranked up to, or promoted, to 2 stars, 3 stars, all the way up 4, 5, and 6. At 6 stars, you can see she's getting a roughly 10, almost exactly 10x multiplier on all 3 HP, attack, and defense. So at level 60, just a little bit above a 10x, maybe a 12x multiplier on her base stats. So you can see that. Really interesting, as we will look to see if that holds across all the heroes, if we can expect about a 10x multiplier when they're fully leveled up. We see some autofill settings there, things you can use to make it quicker and easier to manage food heroes. Then we get to the ability screen, okay? So here we see that her basic attacks 1 enemy, and the damage is 80% of her attack plus 230% of her resistance. So building her with strong resistance looks like it's also going to help her be able to do damage on her basic. It also heals all allies by 10% of her max HP, so we're going to want to boost her HP as well. If the attack is a strong hit, place Petrify on the target for 1 turn. So Petrify is a pretty interesting disable. It skips the enemy's next turn, plus it increases the divinity effects, increases, or all divinity effect increases are reduced by 50%. Sorry, I couldn't say that. But very powerful. Disable, Petrify. Not only do they not get their turn, and it allows Quetzalcoatl, who's fast, to continue to go and cycle through her skills quickly, but it also keeps them from getting their ultimate as well. All right, so that is the basic. We'll pause when we get to the core and discuss that one as well. All right, so the core, Soaring Currents, increases the turn meter of all allies by 20%, places speed up 2, which is 40%, or, no, I'm sorry, it's not 40% increased speed, I think it's 20% increased speed, maybe? 20% increased speed on each target for 2 turns, so that's speed up 2 on all targets, all allies for 2 turns, plus a 20% turn meter boost on a 5-turn cooldown, expecting that to scroll down to 3 turns when fully scrolled out. And then next we will see Ultimate. Alright, so Light of Knowledge is Quetzalcoatl's ultimate ability. Places, this is just a bad A buffer all around. Places attack up 2, so that's 40% increased attack. Places sharpen 2. Places accuracy up 2, so that's all going to help the team just run faster, hit harder, and have the accuracy we need. You'll notice here that they will go through, so attack up 2 increases the attack stats by 40%. Sharpen raises crit damage stat and crit hit damage by 10%. And of course, accuracy up increases accuracy by 40%. So those are your buffs that it puts on, and then you also increases the ally with the highest turn meter by 50% when this hero's divinity reaches 100%. Not when she uses her ultimate, just when it reaches 100%. So it gives a turn meter boost, speed up, all kinds of buffing, and she gains 80 divinity when an ally strong hits an enemy with an attack. So the more she puts sharpen and attack up and accuracy up on her team, the faster she gains and gets back to this ultimate. So that's pretty cool to see there. We also will talk a little bit real quick about the we're going to go through the podcast, and it shows how accuracy plays a role in strong and weak hits. So the way that it works is, obviously strong and weak hits start with your affinity. So if you're a red or strength affinity and you're going against a green or a cunning affinity, you're going to be weak because that affinity is weak to green. So where if you're a red or strength affinity and you're going towards a wisdom or blue affinity, you are going to naturally be strong. So that's where strong and weak hits begin, but it isn't where they end. So then accuracy, how much accuracy you have, and as well as being a determinant as to whether you land your debuffs and disables, it also, think of it like you're a more accurate attack on the enemy. It hits more, the attack isn't spread out, so it's more impactful. So accuracy helps increase that strong hit chance as well. Very neat to hear about that in the podcast. All right, so the passive here, Age of Rebirth. When this hero is defeated, revives all allies with 50% HP and increases their initiative by 5%, stacking up to 3 times 15%, and occurs once per wave. This reminds me of a Marichka type mechanism from Raid, Shadow Legends, but it's different as well because they have the initiative system, which Raid does not have at all, or a Divinity system, they don't have that at all. They probably could have used it, and they're probably kicking themselves now, but sorry, Godforge has it, and it looks like it is passing you in every way. So this is Quetzalcoatl's passive. And then we get to the gear. So we see a little bit of gear here. We see Legs of the Kraken. So we remember that Kraken gear sets helps to add HP. We knew the 2-piece bonus, which was that it adds 1% HP each turn with the ability to max out at 15 stacks. But now, as we go here, we'll get to see the 4-piece and the 6-piece bonus as well. So the 4-piece bonus gives you 25% HP boost, and the 6 reduces damage from attacks by 15%. So that's what you get for a 6-piece and a 4-piece set as well. Same here with the bear set. Now, bear and kraken are both part of these sets that are sort of animal themed. So perhaps we're going to see a pattern here in terms of how these sets work. So now bear, instead of it being plus 1% HP every turn maxing at 15, it's defense. And then it follows the same pattern as you get to a 4-piece set. It's plus 25% defense instead of HP. And then at 6, it grants a 15% chance to block attack damage. Looks like completely. So it's only a 15% chance, but that is a pretty interesting thing to learn in terms of the gear sets, as we hadn't gotten to see the 4 and the 6-piece gear sets. They don't roll up linearly. They have almost completely different, they don't just go from one to the next as you might think, which is what we thought at first because we didn't know any better. But really neat to see the dynamicism built into the gear set bonuses. I think that's going to make a lot more combo potentials and create some more exciting team builds. All right, so now we get to the awakening screen. All right, this is cool that we get to see all of this. Here you see if you have, I guess, an extra copy of Quetzalcoatl, or if you have one of these faction gems or amber elements. I'm not really sure what this resource is called, but it looks extremely valuable because it allows you to basically replace having to use a duplicate, which you may not have 2 legendaries at that time. So this looks like the resource we're going to use in order to awaken our heroes if we don't have additional copies of them. So as we had seen before, Awakening is broken into 5 levels with 3 ability upgrades at 1, 3, and 5, and then bonus initiative and bonus initial divinity at 2 and 4. This is the same for all heroes in the game, but the ability upgrade details are different, and the amount of bonus initial divinity is different, or bonus initiative is different, depending on the hero. So let's see what it is for Quetzalcoatl. All right, Awakening number 1 is an ability upgrade, and it increases speed on each target by 10, stacking up to 3 times. Getting an extra 30 speed looks like it could be a real game changer. So this is the first Awakening for Quetzalcoatl. Next, we see plus 15 initiative. Then we see will place Petrify on any attack, and this cannot be resisted. I highlighted Awakening level 3 as I think this is one we're going to want to get to on this hero at least. This looks very powerful. Being able to put that Petrify disable, which skips their turn and increases their, or reduces their divinity increase effects by half. So they're not going to get to take turns. They're not going to have their ultimates. Really kind of quiets the enemy down. And very powerful, I think, to get to the 3rd level of Awakening for Quetzalcoatl. I'm not going to say that's going to be easy because I don't know how rare those commodities are, but that looks to be a key level. Now we have an extra 200 initial divinity, makes it easier to get to her ultimate and put all those buffs out. And then the last ability upgrade is Revive has no wave restriction. So if you remember, her passive, Age of Rebirth, when the hero is defeated, revives all allies with 50% HP and increases their initiative by 5%, stacking up 3 times, and it occurs once per wave. Revive has no wave restriction. Seems like this passive removes that line, or it removes that line from the passive that says occurs once per wave. I'm not 100% sure, but that seems like what it does, and that would make it really powerful. At any time, if she's killed, all her allies get revived. So very interesting as we are going to look to push deep into much harder content. This could be very powerful. So those are her 5 Awakening levels. And then last, we're going to go into Cavern level 2, and we are going to watch Quetzalcoatl fighting, and you see Spartan and double hoplites here. So you will notice that while her kit is incredible, she is not a carry you kind of champion, so having her solo here, it's almost she's gonna struggle really against the wrong affinity here. As a wisdom affinity, and the hoplites and the Spartans are both strength affinity, they actually do a pretty good job as common and uncommon heroes of giving her a heck of a fight. So she isn't a damage dealer, obviously, but their bleeds do some pretty good work, and we're going to be putting out a video as well here today on this exact nature, and some team builds around the bleed debuff. But you can see, I mean, half HP right now, healing of course, but not exactly wiping out the wave. This is only level 2, but puts buffs. There's no team to put the buffs on, so she's really not getting around to her ultimate as fast, but we do get to see it a few times. But as you can see, she's really a team enhancer. And without the team, just doesn't kind of work quite as well. But you can see how if you had a Leonidas or any other kind of damage dealer with her, Achilles, she could probably create a pretty noticeable difference in their damage output. So she gets Spartan to fall there. The hoplites are continuing to bleed her. And, you know, you see that bleed ticking off, not falling off down there, as it has 1 stack, and you have to use Mend to remove bleed. Bleed does not fall off like normal debuffs do. This is something that is really interesting about this debuff, bleed. So you can see, even though Quetzalcoatl is taking turns. It's taking 1% of her max HP every single time that it procs. So this was a pretty lengthy fight for the first wave of the second level in the cavern. But you can see just how important affinity is here. I mean, she's under a quarter of her health against common and uncommon champions. So you really got to watch the affinities and have the kind of team builds. You just can't take a legendary hero and think you're going to run through the levels and just have no problems. I think this is a good example of that. But we also see she takes out Hoplite and ends the first wave there. Now we see that, again, Hoplite, Hippolyta, and Spartan. That is the second wave in the second level. And we won't get to see too much of this because the video ends here. But we got to see functionality. We got to see her whole ability and her kit and all of her awakenings and all of the different layers that we are going to use to build her up to a really powerful level. So that's all for us today. This is the first hero breakdown on Quetzalcoatl. So thanks for sticking with us all the way through to the end. Take care of yourself, and remember, play smarter.